I remember the music first, soft jazz under dim golden lights, the clinking of glasses, the smell of expensive whiskey and perfume that wasn't mine. I stood near the bar, watching her laugh in a dress I'd bought, surrounded by her colleagues. She was radiant. She was mine, or so I thought. Then he appeared, Richard Hale, her CEO. Charcoal suit, Rolex glinting. He slid his arm around her waist like he'd done it 100 times. She didn't flinch, didn't push him away. He spotted me, smiled, the kind of smile that strips you of your dignity. "You're just another sad trophy she keeps in the basement," he said, loud enough for the room to hear. Broke, clingy, forgettable. Laughter spread like a virus. My wife's laugh cut the deepest. I didn't blink, I didn't break. I smiled. "You," I said, letting each word hang, "are just another loser who's about to lose 95% of his company." His face drained of color. The room went silent. But that was only the end of the story. The betrayal. It began months earlier, late nights at the office, phone calls that ended when I walked into the room, perfume I didn't recognize. I told myself she was just busy. That's what love does. It rewrites the obvious into something less painful. Then one night she came home late, smelling of whiskey and his cologne. She dropped her bag on the counter, unlocked her phone to check something, and left it there while she showered. The screen lit up, a text from Richard. "Last night was worth every risk." I stared at it until the words burned into me. My chest felt hollow, but my mind sharpened. I didn't rage, I didn't confront her. Not yet. The shift. For weeks, I played the dutiful husband. I made her coffee, kissed her cheek, asked about work. But every spare moment, I was building something she couldn't see. I knew Richard's company, mid-sized tech, privately held. I also knew his weaknesses. Public records, court filings, financial leaks, all available if you knew where to look. And I did. I found an old patent dispute he'd quietly settled, but the payout terms suggested he'd borrowed against future revenue. Desperate cash flow. High-interest private loans. I called in favors from contacts she never knew I had. Corporate lawyers, forensic accountants, an old college friend who specialized in hostile takeovers. The preparation. Step 1, I bought shares in Richard's company through shell accounts. Not many at first, just enough to get access to shareholder information. Step 2, I tracked his suppliers. I found 2 who were unhappy, late payments, broken promises. I quietly acquired controlling interest in both. Step 3, I built the noose. I knew the date of the Christmas party. I also knew Richard was finalizing a major investor deal that night. His entire liquidity depended on it. If anything threatened investor confidence, he was finished. 3 days before the party, I leaked an internal memo, one I'd found in my role as a small shareholder, to a trusted journalist. The memo outlined serious concerns about Richard's ability to deliver on upcoming contracts. The stockholders panicked. The investor he was courting called for an emergency review. Richard didn't know it yet, but I'd already convinced 2 board members to side against him. I had also transferred enough supplier control to freeze shipments if necessary. By the time the night of the party arrived, Richard's position was already bleeding. He just didn't know how close to death he was. The confrontation. So when he put his hand on my wife's waist and called me forgettable, I knew something he didn't. Within 48 hours, his company would belong to someone else. "You are just another loser who's about to lose 95% of your company," I told him, calm as stone. His laughter stopped. My wife looked at me as if I'd just spoken in another language. "What the hell are you talking about?" he said, his voice lower now, tight. "You'll find out at Monday's board meeting," I replied. If you make it that far. The color drained further. He stepped back from my wife. People whispered. She touched his arm as if to calm him, and in that moment, I saw it. Not guilt, not shame, fear. Fear that the world she'd tied herself to was collapsing. The fallout. Monday came. Richard walked into the boardroom to find me already seated, proxy votes in hand. The investors had pulled out. Suppliers were restructuring their agreements under my authority. The board voted. Richard was out. His shares were forced into liquidation to cover debts. 95% gone, just as I'd promised. I sold my controlling interest the same week, at a profit big enough to set me up for life. The end of us. As for my wife, she came home that night to find her bags packed. No shouting, no accusations, just divorce papers and a bank transfer for exactly half of what the law required. She called me cold. I told her I was fair. That's worse. The reflection. People think revenge is about rage. It isn't. It's about patience, about control, about letting the knife get sharp enough that when you finally use it, the cut is clean. I don't remember what the band played after Richard's face went pale that night. I just remember the silence, that perfect, heavy silence, when a man realizes the ground beneath him has already been sold. I walked out of that party with my head high, leaving my wife and her CEO staring at the door. They took my love. I took their world. And I don't regret a thing.